In my last video, you saw that I mostly finished the flooring with the bigger pieces of OSB boarded insulation, but I still had a couple of spots up in the front with silly little shapes and sizes around the stairs and the engine cover. So that's what I tackled first. I cut my insulation board pretty close, but I knew I wanted to trim it out really nice with my multi-tool, so that's what I did first. I'm obviously no professional. Far from it. But this cut line, I'm pretty proud of it. That multi-tool, man, it's a good tool. Look at this. I feel accomplished today. I made a mess, which I'm gonna pick up now, but I'm so glad that's done. And then tomorrow I'll cut the board to match that spot too. I think my project for this afternoon is going to be to cut my very last piece of board for the floor. So yesterday I cut the pink and I cut it all around the steps. So I'm gonna use this, I think, as a template for my board. And that's the very last piece, and then the floor is done. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think it's gonna take me a little bit. It's gonna take some measuring and thinking because I don't wanna get it wrong, but that's what's happening this afternoon. The next step was to cut the OSB board, and I knew I wanted to use my pink insulation board as a template, and it came out so nice that it was perfect. I laid it on top of my OSB board, traced it out, made all my cuts because I knew I only had one shot on this. I didn't have an extra piece of board, and thankfully it came out pretty good. So I just got this whole thing all cut out, all the little pieces. Now, I'm going to give you a pro tip, which you probably already knew, and I knew too, but sometimes we need these little reminders. Make sure that whenever you're cutting these boards and the piece is ready to fall, that your leg is completely out of the way. Yeah, that happened. So I've got my pieces all cut to put down here on the floor around the steps. But I forgot that there's a couple spots here that I want to patch before. That's to outside, right there. These wires here are for the heaters that were in the back. I have been saving these because they have a switch up there on the panel, and I'm thinking it's already ran, and if I want to use these for something, I want to keep that, but I want to close that big hole. I saved a couple pieces of metal just for this, so I think I'm going to use this piece here, and I'm going to bend it, cut it, and glue and screw it in, I think. So that's my next project. I'm ready to put the very last piece of insulation and board in around the stairs. You saw me cut it earlier, I measured. I did add an extra piece of trim around like where the engine cover is, so it may not fit perfectly. I may have to shave it a little bit, but this is it. This is the last one. So you're gonna watch me struggle with it. Oh man, it looks so good. Okay, so now that I know it fits, I'm gonna put some glue down. I've always loved puzzles, and thankfully this one's coming together quite nicely. So far anyway. The foam board fit perfectly. The OSB board mostly fit perfectly. So I glued it down, and then you'll see those big buckets I filled with water to weigh it down. I had one more little piece in the very, very front. So next I worked on measuring and cutting that little piece as well. honestly, I feel like it's the best that it could have been. I'm pleased with it. I need to go underneath this previous piece and trim up some of the glue under there because the glue, I didn't set anything heavy on it, so the glue is lifting it up a little bit. So I need to fix that. But I'm pretty sure this is gonna work. I'm not gonna cut it again. It's gonna work. Again, it didn't fit perfectly, but it's gonna work. So I found a piece of metal that I had taken off the bus. I'm saving a pile of scrap metal. I found this piece. I honestly don't know where exactly it was from, but I am going to try to use it right here on the step because I'm trying to put a piece of trim here so that we don't tear it up going up and down the steps. So, and I know I originally had a piece, but I can't find it. So I'm gonna try to use this one. It fits enough, so I'm just gonna trim it right here and then screw it in. That worked out pretty good, look. Okay, now we won't beat up the step very much anymore. I'm sure you remember the debacle with the tarp last week and the wind ripping it away. Well, what I decided to do was cut the tarp into pieces that will cover specific windows. I cut it to fit 3 windows at a time. I then taped it from the inside, went outside the bus, and screwed it in. I placed a piece of duct tape, a screw, and then another piece of duct tape on top of that. Hoped that it would hold, and so far it has. Make sure to like and subscribe to my videos to follow my journey. The next video will be an in-depth look at removing the windows and the rivets, what I found that worked, what didn't work, and everything in between.